In many East Asian cultures, a market is not merely a place for buying and selling goods. It is a shared social space woven into everyday life and community rhythm. For this reason, when stories speak of a market that appears only briefly, sometimes for a single night, they do more than describe something strange. They reveal a deeper unease about the boundary between what is familiar and what is out of place. Legends of the ghost market appear in many regions across East Asia, including China, Vietnam, Japan, and Korea. While the details vary, these stories share a common structure. A strange market suddenly appears at night, operates like an ordinary market, and then disappears completely by morning. According to folk accounts, such markets tend to appear in places rarely visited at night. The edge of a forest, an old crossroads, an empty riverside clearing, or a path that once served as a trade route. During the day, these locations seem entirely normal, with no sign of anything unusual. Only at night, when light fades and people are scarce, does the market emerge. Travelers describe seeing faint lights from a distance and hearing the familiar sounds of conversation and bargaining. As they approach, they find a small market with stalls selling food, cloth, and old household items. Everything appears ordinary. Nothing seems threatening or unnatural. What unsettles people is not the appearance of the market, but the timing. The market opens very late, when most settlements have already gone quiet. No one knows when it began. It simply seems to have already been there when someone passes by. The vendors in these stories are described as quiet and unremarkable. They speak softly and do not aggressively call out to customers. When asked where they come from or where the goods originate, they often give vague answers or gently change the subject. It is this refusal to explain that leaves a lasting impression. A recurring detail in many versions of the story involves money. In some accounts, the currency used in the market looks real, but turns into dried leaves, scraps of paper, or worthless material once taken home. In others, people who pay with real money later discover an unexplained loss of funds. However, not everyone who encounters the ghost market experiences anything unusual. Many stories emphasize that those who simply pass by without buying anything return home without incident. The strange consequences tend to appear only after an exchange takes place, particularly when goods are taken from the market. In some regions, people say that items purchased from the ghost market appear normal at first, but quickly deteriorate, disappear, or lose their usefulness. This is often interpreted as a warning that things not meant for everyday life should not be brought into it. In Japanese folklore, there are stories of night markets appearing near the edges of old villages, where trade once flourished but later faded away. These markets are sometimes seen as lingering traces of past activity, not places of spirits, but of memory. In ancient Chinese folk records, ghost markets are sometimes associated with former trade routes that lost their importance over time. In this interpretation, the market reflects human activity that has ended, but has not fully disappeared from collective awareness. In Vietnam, elders often advise that if one encounters an unfamiliar market while traveling at night, it is best to avoid it or pass through without stopping. This advice is not framed as fear, but as caution toward what has no clear origin. From a practical perspective, some researchers suggest that ghost market stories may originate from temporary night markets, informal trading spots, or short-lived commercial gatherings. Over time, as the context was forgotten, these memories took on a mysterious tone. Psychological factors also play a role. At night, when people are tired and visibility is low, familiar scenes can be misinterpreted. A small group of late traders, oil lamps, and quiet voices can become something uncanny when recalled later. What all ghost market stories share is their temporary nature. The market never lasts. By morning, it leaves no trace. Only an empty space or a silent road. This absence of evidence allows the story to persist. The ghost market, then, does not have to be understood as a place belonging to another world. It can be seen as a symbol of human activity that once existed, but has faded with time. Markets are spaces of exchange, and when that exchange ends, memory becomes fragile. Perhaps what these stories truly convey is not danger, but a reminder. Not everything that appears at night belongs to the world of daylight. Some things are better observed from a distance, like traces of the past briefly resurfacing. And so, across East Asia, a quiet piece of advice remains unchanged. If you encounter a market that appears suddenly in the night and cannot explain itself, keep walking. And do not take anything with you.